So, I'm doing a video that I've meant to do for years on end, just like the fandom story video, but this one's harder because this one's like picking my favorite child. You don't do that. But at the same time, I was like, I want to, but I feel like I can't, but, So, I ranked the original 13 Beatle albums. This is just the 13 studio albums on this list. There are more to come. I'm doing another list that is going to include the things like the anthology and past masters and BBC, Love, Let It Be Naked. All of those will be included on that list, but not this list. This list is just the original basic 13. Okay? Okay. Now that we have that out of the way. Oh my god. This was so much harder to do than I thought it was going to be. This is another video that I'm doing in collaboration with my friend Jeanette over on her channel, which I'll include a link to down below. And for as much as I was just like, come on, just do the thing already for her, when it came time for me to sit down and do it, all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, I'm not ready. Wait, but I have the order down, but I don't know. Rearranged things last second, and then looked at them again, and I don't know. I changed them around again, and just, even now, this is not like a definitive hardcore list, because depending on my mood on any given day, I would order these differently. That's what makes this so hard, is that there are no bad Beatle albums. There really, truly aren't. It's not like most bands where there's at least an album or two where, well, at least we know those are suck ones we can put at the bottom and work up from there. With the Beatles, there aren't any. There really, truly aren't any. And, oh my god, just knowing that the nature of having a ranked list means something has to be on the bottom. And also, on the other end, something has to be the top. And nobody's going to agree with me no matter what I put on either end, and that people are going to bitch at me in the comments, makes this much more terrifying than it should probably be. So I am just going to throw it out there that I knew there was two different ways I could go about this. I could go at it from the approach of, am I ranking these in order of what do I think is the best objectively? Or am I going in orders of my favorites? And initially I was going to do it objectively, but then I was like, no, fuck that. Everybody's got the same answers when we do it objectively for the most part. I mean, they vary a little bit, but for the most part, it's the same damn list over and over and over. Fuck that. I'm doing my favorites. Which I thought would be easier. And ended up being harder. And I was like, fuck. Even now looking at them, I'm like, I'm sorry to the ones on the bottom. I'm like, no, I mean, I love you too, but I just, something had to be on the bottom, and I feel really bad. I feel really bad, because the ones on the bottom, I don't want anyone to think that I dislike, because I don't. Just something by default had to be on the bottom, so please don't yell at me. Anyway, I've watched so many other people's videos like this, and it looks like almost everybody has the same one for the bottom album. And I'm not doing that as the bottom album. Most people put Yellow Submarine there, and I refuse to do it. I'm not doing it. I will not put it there. I cannot, in good conscience, make myself do it. But the one that I put there, especially being the anniversary year, I feel like I am going to get so much shit for. Which should already tell you exactly what it is right now. But, I've got the CD copies that are, well, I should say I have my CD copies, obviously, as opposed to whose, I don't know. But, I mean, I don't have, like, the reissues or anything. So these are, like, over 20-year-old CDs. They have been heavily, thoroughly loved. Almost every single one of them has cracked covers because they have been so well loved, because most of them came to school with me on a daily basis, tucked inside a zippered binder. Remember the zippered binders, everybody? Yeah, I had a denim and suede one, and I always jammed one in there from 8th grade onward, because before that we had the car with the 8-track in it, but as of 8th grade we had the minivan which had the CD player in it, and around the same time my grandparents also got cars that had CD players in them, so for me I was like, perfect! I will just bring CDs with me to have on hand and put in the CD player before anybody can say anything, and I will just listen to them to and from school every day. Problem in doing that, all of the cases cracked, almost every single one. So, they look rough. That's why. Because of exactly that. If you think these are bad, you should see my Paul McCartney ones from around the same time. Venus and Mars, all that's left is like one corner of the front. And that's it. I really need to like find a new jewel case to put that in, because the front is basically gone. Anyways, getting into the list, it's like 6.5 minutes and I haven't even started the list. God only knows how long this fucking video is gonna be, guys. So, in last place, because something had to go there. I know. It's sacrilege. I know. But something had to go there. And I don't know why. I don't hate this album. I don't even dislike it. Just, I've always got a weird vibe from it when listening to it as an album. If I individually take tracks from it and listen to them, like any given one of these that would like turn up on the radio, totally different. But listening to it together as an album, I feel like I pick up on the tension that they had in the studio and amongst themselves, and I feel like it's a little off-putting to me. It always has been. With the movie, even more so. I've only ever watched it twice, ever, because that truly upsets me to watch them fight like that. And I feel like I instinctively pick up on those vibes, and it's just like, no. But individually, the songs themselves are good, just as an album. This is my own weird hang-up with it, but like, Two of Us is a great song. Across the Universe, I freaking love Across the Universe, and I think every instrument I've ever learned how to play, I have learned to play that song on. I've played it on ukulele, I've played it on guitar, I've played it on piano, I've played it on an accordion, I've played it on a harmonica, I've played it on a flute. Just saying. I love that friggin' song, and I always will. I Me Mine is probably my favorite song on here. Actually, wait. It might be tied with For You Blue. I really like the George songs on here. The title track I feel like is so overplayed that I'm kind of burnt out on it, but it is a good song in and of itself. I like Maggie May. I've Got a Feeling is classic. One After 909, I personally prefer the anthology version, but I love the version on here too. I know people bitch about Whiny Paul with Long and Winding Road, but I like Long and Winding Road if I'm in the right mood for it. If I'm not in the right mood for it, then whatever. But if I'm in the right mood for it, I like it just fine. And Get Back, obviously, everybody loves Get Back, but overall, as a whole, I don't know. When listening to it as an album, I pick up on the weird vibes, and I virtually never ever listen to it as its album form because of that. I will pick and choose the tracks from it separately, but not as the album itself. It's the only Beatle album I do that with. The rest of them I will listen to clear all the way through, except this guy. And it sucks because, I mean, the cover is so iconic, and I actually do love the cover, but as an album, I'm like, sorry. I'm sorry. I know. You guys are gonna yell at me now. So second place, I put Yellow Submarine. And I feel really bad doing that because I actually really like this album. I know most people are like, most of it's just the orchestral crap. Who even listens to the orchestral crap? I listen to the orchestral crap. I not only listen to it, I feel like A Beginning should have also been on here. And I feel like there's a couple other tracks that were in the movie that should have also made it onto here that didn't. I actually would have been perfectly cool with if they'd done an all-instrumental album of stuff from the movie. I would have been quite happy with that. I have no issues there. I know most people are bored shitless with that, but maybe it's because my other musical fandoms, I kind of like music from those kind of genres, but that's just me. But I mean, of the actual ones that the Beatles themselves perform here, I mean, how can you not love pretty much every single thing here? I mean, Yellow Submarine, obviously. I mean, well, that was on Revolver, too, but technicality, I had this first before I had Revolver, I think. I don't remember. I would have to go to double check that. I think I got them around the same time, so I had double coverage for Yellow Sub anyway. But Only a Northern Song, All Together Now. I mean, who doesn't love All Together Now? Hey Bulldog, that's my favorite on here. Like, straight up. It's All Too Much. All You Need Is Love. Like, come on, these are classic. Why does this just drop to the bottom of everybody's list? The orchestral stuff is why everybody drops it. And when I was looking objectively at these, I was like, for the ones that the Beatles themselves do, I want to rate this higher than it is. But then looking at the other stuff that it's up against, I'm like, but there's more of those that I feel strongly about. Fuck! By default, it's down low, and I wish it weren't so down low because I wanted this to be higher on this list. I feel defeated that it ended up this low on the list. I was really determined to try and push it up the list further, but looking at everything else it's up against, I'm like, I can't do it. I couldn't put it in last place, but damn it, I couldn't put it above Please Please Me either, so that's what I was like, okay. And like, I noticed with what I was saying about the cracked cases, this is probably the only one amongst the bunch that's not, and it's probably because only the first half of it were Beatles songs, and the main one I wanted to blast in the car, by the time we had the car with the CD player in it, the Yellow Submarine song track was out, which also had Hey Bulldog on it, so I just went with that one. So that one's all cracked shit, but this one is still fairly pristine. But yeah, all the songs that I wanted to blast are also on that one, so this one mostly stayed home. So I'm trying to count backwards, so that would have been 13 and 12. So 11th place. I feel bad that this is this low, because I really do like this album, but again, objectively looking at it compared to everything else and the songs on it, something had to go here. So it's gonna be Please Please Me. Now, unlike a lot of people, I don't dislike the early stuff. I actually really like the early stuff. I've gone through periods where every different Beatles era has been my favorite Beatles era. So, I mean, at different ages, if YouTube had existed, this list would have been completely different. But since we are doing it today, it is as it stands today. But, when I went through my hardcore early Beatles fandom standing, there was a point I would have possibly even made this the number one. It was a short-lived period, but there was a period where I could have said that. But now looking at it, I'm like, well, the strong songs on it I still feel very strongly about. But then the other ones I'm like, because, like, I saw her standing there. Obviously, I love it hardcore. Misery, I love it. Anna, I have to be in the right mood for it. It always makes me think of Married with Children because of that one episode. Chains, again, gotta be in the right mood for it. Boys, I lose my fucking shit over. Like, both on the album and when I see Ringo in concert. That and I Want to Be Your Man. Those are the two that I lose my fucking mind over, and I know, unpopular opinion, because a lot of people I've spoken to have said both of those songs could easily be dropped from the set list and nobody would miss them. Bite me, I will fight you on it. I would miss them and I would be very pissed off. Like, straight up, I would be pissed if either, or worse, both of them were dropped. Because those are my two that I wait for, that I lose my damn mind over. And even on the album versions, I kind of do, even with just listening to them. Just, oh my god, it brings out the Ringo fangirl in me hardcore. I don't know why, I don't know what it is, but those two songs are like the two songs I do it over. But, ask me one. Please Please Me, I mean, again, gotta be in the right mood for it, but it's a fun song. Love Me Do is so damn overplayed on everything to where I'm like, if it weren't so overplayed, maybe this would have made it further up the list, but, P.S. I Love You, again, gotta be in the right mood for it. Baby It's You, same thing. Do you want to know a secret, though? That one... That's one of the ones where I'm like, I feel very strongly about this. I love that song. A Taste of Honey, same thing. There's a place. And Twist and Shout, obviously, love Twist and Shout. So it's a mixed bag where I'm like, the ones that I feel are strong, I feel very strongly about. But then the other ones, I'm like, I gotta be in the right mood for them. And because there's so many of those on this that I feel that way with, I'm like, that's why this is so far down the ranking, even though, like I said, it's not a bad album. It just, oh gosh. What's more mind-blowing to me is that in making this list, somehow Beatles for Sale made it a slot above Please Please Me. Honest to God, I thought this was going to be like second to the bottom when I was just like mentally thinking about how I would rank them, but then when I actually sat down and looked at what's really on every single album side by side, I was like, no, this goes higher than that. This goes higher than that. I mean, it's another mixed bag where the stuff that I feel hella strongly about, I really, 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 really love. But then the rest of it is so just, that I honestly tend to forget this album exists because of those songs that are just meh. But the ones that I love hella strongly, whenever I revisit it, I'm like, oh my god, I forgot how much I love this song. I kind of forgot it existed because it's on this album, but oh my god. Yeah, like, No Reply, I love, I'm a Loser, Babies in Black, Rock and Roll Music, I'll Follow the Sun, all of these, dude, they're hella strong. And Mr. Moonlight, generally, I've never been that wild on that one, except for when I took the Greyhound bus trip to Arizona last year. Like, super late at night, I was the only one awake, it was like 1 a.m. I did listen to that song on repeat while just like looking at the moon out the window, and that was probably the most perfect I have ever felt with that song. I think that was the first time I ever felt like, this song feels perfect for this moment, and I actually kind of love it right now. So I finally found some appreciation for that song for the first time in my entire life, because before that, I'm sorry, that was a song I generally skipped. I will admit it. I know, sacrilege. Almost everybody seems to love that song, and I'm over here like, I'm just gonna quietly skip that. The medley with Kansas City and Hey 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 Hey. Honestly, gonna admit, I skip that one usually, and my dad's like, how the hell, and like, he randomly, out of all the early stuff, that's the one he latches onto. Like, when I was like a little wee baby fan, I thought he was mistakenly thinking of another band when he mentioned that song. I was like, that's not a Beatles song, that doesn't exist, that's not a thing. It's a thing. He like randomly latched onto that one. For the most part, he's like, yeah, up until like 1966, like, the Beatles stuff shouldn't even count as Beatles stuff. Only stuff onward from that. Except for that one song, apparently. That's like his one exception. It's like, oh, okay. whatever. 8 Days a Week, obviously, like, classic. Words of Love I could do without, like, straight up. Honey Don't. I mean, again, it's one where if I'm in the right mood for it, it's fun. Otherwise, I'm like, it's skippable. I'm sorry, Ringo, but I feel like Matchbox would have gone better here than Honey Don't, but I'm in the minority there. I know, I seem to be like the only person who is like legit excited that he does that song live now, but I am, so. Every Little Thing, again, if I'm in the right mood for it, I love it. If I'm not in the mood for it, I'm like, why is this song on here? Like, is total polarities with no in-between. I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, I like that one. What You're Doing. It's one of those where I always say that I'm meh about it till it actually comes on, and then I listen to it, and then I get really excited over it, and I don't know. Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby, I love that. That may be my favorite song on here. Like, probably a tie between that and I'll Follow the Sun are probably my faves on here. And I'm a loser, so. Because self-deprecating, I'm like, oh, hey, it's my song. So there's that. Next up would be A Hard Day's Night. Which I know, I mean, I'm both surprised that this is as low on the list as it is, but at the same time, I'm like, looking at what else there is, I'm like, nah, it feels about right, I guess. Even though I love the Hard Day's Night album. Do not get me wrong. Like, almost everything on here, I love. This is about the point in the list where it got really hard to put them in order. Because I was just like, alright. The other ones, they're skippable tracks. Now we're in the territory where it's like, everything is golden and I don't know what to do now. So then I was like objectively looking at them like, alright, is there anything skippable on here at all? How about this one next to it? Is there on this? How many on each? This is going to determine the placement now, I think. But, oh, it was hard with this one because almost every single thing on here I love. But, yeah, I was like, there are a couple that sometimes are skippable. Not always, because there's other times where I frigging adore them. But, yeah, this is why I'm like, this is the hard part of the list now, guys. I mean, obviously the title track, and then I Should Have Known Better, If I Fell, I'm Happy Just to Dance With You. All of those are perfect songs. And I Love Her, I know it's usually, like, everyone's favorite from this. I'm like, that's my one where I'm like, if I'm in the mood for it, I love it. Otherwise, it's my skip song from this. I feel really bad admitting that, but sorry, I'm entitled to an opinion. Tell Me Why, Can't Buy Me Love, Anytime at All, I'll Cry Instead, Things We Said Today, When I Get Home, Can't Do That, I'll Be Back. Like I said, the only one that really pops out is something that I would possibly maybe skip is And I Love Her, if I'm, like, not in a sappy mood. But it's otherwise, like, a flawless album. That's why I was like, my gut instinct tells me this should be higher, but looking at the other albums there still are on the list, I'm like, can I really put this above those? Shit. So, yeah, I'm conflicted. From this point onward, every single thing I am conflicted about the placement of. So next up would be Revolver. I know, this is one where some people would agree with the placement and other people would be like, no, that should be like at the top. And I'm like, I know. I hear you. Trust me, I do. I agree with you even. But they can't all be in the number one slot. So, I mean, this is where I was on the fence between this and A Hard Day's Night for What Goes Where and kept swapping them back and forth. And technically, for skip-worthy tracks, maybe this should have gone below it, but it felt sacrilege to put this beneath A Hard Day's Night. I couldn't make myself do it, so even though there's 2 tracks on here I might skip if I'm not in the mood for them, I still put it above A Hard Day's Night, because it's Revolver. You can't do that. Yes, Beatle joke, but you can't do that. This goes above it, I'm sorry. Eleanor Rigby, though, I tend to skip, not because it's a bad song, not even because I dislike it or anything, because I don't, but I have always had this nagging fear that I will end up the real-life incarnation of that, if you look at the lyrics. Being Little Miss Loner Girl, I'm like, oh god, I don't want to become that. And then, on the other hand, it's like, the older I get, and I'm still unmarried, I'm like, oh fuck, I might end up that. Oh god. And I get more and more and more self-conscious the older I get, to where it's like, it's getting hard for me to listen to it, because I'm like, oh god, it may come true. It might fucking come true, and I don't like that. Yeah, but even as a little kid, I had this weird hang-up with that song. I don't know. Between that and always being the lonely kid, I'm just like, it makes me very self-conscious of myself. So I often will skip it just because it makes me uncomfortable. Not because it's a bad song, not because I even dislike the song, because it's a good song. It's actually a beautiful song. It's a sad song, but it's a beautiful song, but it kind of unnerves me because of my own personal hang-ups. And then, where is it? Love You Too is the other one where I'm like, if I'm not in the mood for George's Indian shit, I may skip it, but not always. Sometimes I do enjoy listening to it, but not always. But I mean, everything else on here, like Taxman, I'm Only Sleeping, Here, There, and Everywhere, Yellow Submarine, She Said, Good Day Sunshine, and Your Bird Can Sing That. It's probably, that's tied for favorite with Tomorrow Never Knows. Those 2. For No One, Dr. Robert, I Want to Tell You. Actually, okay, I take it back. I Want to Tell You, I again, also have to be in the mood for. I could maybe skip it, but not always. I don't know. That's why I'm like, on paper, this should have been below A Hard Day's Night, but I couldn't make myself do it because it's Revolver, and you don't do that for Revolver. You don't do that. Got to Get You Into My Life. The ones that are strong are really strong, so. Some of you may be surprised that this one ended up as high on the list as it did. And 14-year-old me would be shocked by it. Because when I first got this, I often overlooked this album. And I overlooked it because the grand bulk of everything on here, I already had on the Blue Album compilation. And I kind of just, like, set this aside, because, like, the only things that weren't on that, I think, were, like, Blue Jay Way, Your Mother Should Know, and Flying. Maybe Fool on the Hill. I can't remember if Fool on the Hill was on the Blue Album, but, like, everything else was on the Blue Album, so I was like, I mean, basically the whole thing's over there. I kind of shelved it and didn't really revisit it as its own album for years. But when I did, I was like, oh my god, this is actually a really good album. And honest to god, like, it's grown on me so hard to where nowadays, if I just want, like, a little quickie Beatle fix and don't want to listen to the whole discography as a whole, because, yeah, that's a weird quirk that I have. I will listen to them in order, beginning to end, the whole discography. I will, like, make a day of it. I do this on a fairly regular basis. I prefer to listen to them that way. But if I just want a quick fix, this is often the one that I reach for these days. This one and the next one that's coming up are, like, my 2 that I find myself reaching for the most often. They're not even, like, the favorite. Just, for whatever reason, they satisfy my Beatle fix. Just because they, like, encompass such an array of genres, to where it's like, okay, I'm good now. like everything on here. Magical Mystery Tour, Fool on the Hill, Flying, Blue Jay Way, Your Mother Should Know, I'm the Walrus, Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man and All You Need Is Love. It's a strong album, but it's a short album. There's only 11 tracks there. Most of the Beatle albums, on average, are 13 or 14. So, if I feel like if it had a few more tracks, it might have made it a few more slots up, but because it doesn't, it's where it's at. I am fighting I don't want them to bleed, so don't mind me, but I'm stressing myself out, and I've told you guys many times where it's like, one of my anxiety tells is I will start biting at my lips till they bleed, so I'm like, stop. Okay. Alright. So, moving right along, the other one I was talking about, that's the next one, is With the Beatles, which I know is also probably surprising that it made this high up the list. But really, though, I mean, the stuff that's on this one is just banging. Like, there's not a bad track on here. I don't think I skip anything on this album when I listen to it. But, like, from this point on, in this list, they're all like that. It's hard ranking them from here out. But, With the Beatles album, man, everything on it just, it won't be long, all I've got to do, all my loving, don't bother me, little child, till there was you, please Mr. Postman, roll over Beethoven, hold me tight, you've really got a hold on me, I want to be your man, devil in her heart, not a second time, and money. Every single one of these, nothing is skippable here. This is a perfect album that is often overlooked, I feel like. It is very underrated for what it is, because everybody tends to overlook the early Beatle years a lot, I feel like. And I will admit, sometimes I do too, but not this album. Not this album. I don't overlook this one. I freaking love this one. This is probably like one of the heaviest in rotation in my Beatle collection. It always has been from the day that I got this one. So, just saying. Just saying. The next one on the list, you guys will be shocked, is not higher. Because stereotypically, this is either one that ends up like in people's first or second slot usually. And if not, it's in the top 3. And for me, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th place. Yeah. Shocking, right? The White Album. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised with myself too, but this is where I started getting hung up on, okay, I mean, these top positions, do I go by favorites or do I go by objectively what's best? But then I was like, no, this whole list I've been doing it as favorites. I can't just switch partway through. So this made it into the 5th slot. I mean, there's so many good tracks here, and it's a double album, so it's like twice as many good tracks. But it also means there's twice as many where I'm just like, really, who's gonna sit there and listen to Revolution number 9? Fucking nobody. Like, really, though. I mean, I've done it, but it's not one I would go out of my way for. And I mean, this is the album that does house Don't Pass Me By, which we have discussed my hang-up there, so let us not rehash, but it's also on here, so, Wild Honey Pie, I'm like, that song has become a meme at this point, where it's like, people claiming it's their favorite Beatles song just to be edgy, and I'm like, oh, bite me. No one likes that song. Go away. Regular Honey Pie, yes, but then there's the joke about Paul's granny music. Well, I apparently like Paul's granny music. Leave me alone. But, I mean, there's like some really, really hardcore good ones like Helter Skelter and Birthday and Back in the USSR and Glass Onion and While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I mean, that's like the biggest one for most people. Blackbird, Rocky Raccoon, Julia. Honestly, for me, I feel like I gravitate more towards the first disc than the second. But looking at the second too, though, everybody's got something to hide except for me and my monkey, and your blues, and Mother Nature's son, Sexy Sadie. That's why I'm like, and Savoy Truffle. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I can't really say that. Yeah, I gravitate towards disc 1, but on the other hand, when I'm looking at disc 2, I'm like, but I also love disc 2 and almost everything on it, except for Revolution 9, and I could do without long. But other than that, I really love it too. That's why I'm conflicted that this isn't higher on the list, but we're going by favorites now, so the stuff that's above it is just because it's favorites, guys. I know, don't come for me. So this one, there are certain days I would put it in the first slot. There was a certain position in my life where it would have no doubt been in the number 1 slot. But, like I said, there are still days, even now, where I would put this as number 1. But today is not one of those days, so it is in the 4th spot. And that is Help. And this is another one where I feel like it gets underrated, and people usually put this very low down on the list, although I was shocked that one of these ranking videos, I saw somebody put it as number 1, and I was like, shook. Especially since it was somebody who'd never even seen the film, so it was objectively just on the music. I was like, damn, okay, alright, go off, but, this is another one where I'm like, everything on here is so good, oh my god, I want to put it as number 1, but then the other stuff that I still have above it on here, I'm like, I can't do it. I want to really badly, but I can't put it above them. I can't make myself do it. Not today. Like I said, there's certain days where I'd be like, you know what, screw it, number 1, but it's hard. This is such a hard exercise for me to do. You have no idea. I'm like the most indecisive person on the planet. Drives people crazy about me, but oh my god, like, seriously, every song on here. Like, Help, The Night Before, You've Gotta Hide Your Love Away, I Need You, Another Girl, You're Gonna Lose That Girl, Ticket to Ride, Act Naturally, It's Only Love, You Like Me Too Much, Tell Me What You See, I've Just Seen a Face, Yesterday, and Disney Miss Lizzie. Flawless fucking album. Flawless. Although I know a lot of people be like, Act Naturally, that's not flawless. I'm like, fight me. I will fight you. Like, really though. I'm defensive of my Ringo, go away. But, man, I really I want to put this as number 1, but the other 3 albums still to go. I'm like, oh, damn it, I can't make myself put this above those. I really want to, but of the ones that are left, no, they deserve it more. Even if it's cliche, they deserve it more, but oh, this has a special place in my heart, though. Like, really. So, number 3. Another shocker that it's not number 1. Sgt. Pepper. Oh, yeah. Another one where it's like, there's a good chunk of my life this would have been number 1, and there's still days where I'd be like, yeah, it should be number 1. And if I were going objectively on what's the best, it would probably be number 1, cliche or not, but I'm going with favorites, and I'm like, oh, it's difficult. Like, this is number 2. I feel like in my heart they're really tied, but I had to make this be a ranked list, so I couldn't cop out and do a tie as much as I wanted to, because if I were doing ties, then Help would have been tied for number 1, but I'm not allowed to do that in this list, so the only reason that this didn't make it into second place, only damn reason, it's not even George's song. I know. Most people pin it on that. It's not. Even as a little kid, I probably would have pinned it on that. It's not. I actually love Within You Without You. Actually, the one that put this one peg down in the list, and only because it's so overplayed, is A Day in the Life. And it's not a bad song, and I don't dislike it. I do still love that song. But if I'm being honest, there's a lot of days I will just skip it because it's so overplayed to death on the radio here. So, I mean, I know that's kind of a weird one to get radio play a lot, but they do it here and always have since I was a kid. So I'm like, there's a whole rest of this album you guys could be playing, and you like never ever do just that one. Why is that, guys? Like, literally anything else from the album would be great, but they don't. But I do still love it. Like, don't get me wrong. I do love it. But it's the only thing that was the tiebreaker that put it in third place. But my childhood self is sobbing right now that I did not put this as number one. Just saying. So number 2 is Abbey Road. Yeah, this didn't even make it as number 1, which is like, what the fuck, Self? How? How did this not end up number 1? That's because favorites. And anyone who has spent any time on this channel knew the second they clicked on this what is in the number 1 slot. It was just a matter of what's going everywhere else, but this is another album that I count as flawless, that nothing gets skipped. Except occasionally, if I don't have the time to quite listen to the whole thing, I might skip part of, I Want You, She's So Heavy. Like, I'll listen to the first part, but when it gets into the repetitive part, eventually it's like, okay, enough already. But, if I have the time to listen to it in full, which generally I try to make sure I do if I'm listening to Abbey Road, because I don't want to skip anything when it comes to Abbey Road. That is the only thing that will get skipped, is just that last portion of the one song. Everything else, even Her Majesty, I listen to, which I realize most people are like, that song's stupid. I'm like, I mean, it's a cute-ass song. Leave me alone. I like it. But, no, man, to me, this is a flawless album. Every single thing. Yeah, you guys can make fun of Octopus's Garden all you want. I love Octopus's Garden. Yeah, I'm out here defending Ringo left and right tonight, but, like, really though, like, oh my god, like, everything on here is so good. Just, it hurts, it's so good. Like, how does someone create that level of perfection? I don't even know, but they did. And the fact that I can't even quite put it in number 1 just because we're going by favorites and not by what's best, and like my OCD is screaming right now that I didn't put this as number 1 because on like any other level it should be, but if we're going by favorites, my favorite Beatle album, just hands down, if I could only pick one, Rubber Soul. And it's why the cover's so cracked, because it's so well loved by me, but oh my god, everything on it, every single thing on it. Like, even my middle name comes from one of the songs on here. Just everything about this album is so special to me, and it is another flawless album. Except, I know, I'm like, this is one that I skip nothing on. This one has a skippable track. How is this number 1? Because favorites, bitch. Because favorites. That's how. But, ironically, the only one that I would occasionally skip is What Goes On. Yeah, the Ringo song on it, who I've been out here defending left and right. I'm sorry. That's like the one that I sometimes skip, but not always. Sometimes I listen to it. If I'm in the mood for it, I will listen to it, but other days, that's the one track on here that'd be like, But everything else, though, drives Drive My Car, Norwegian Wood, You Won't See Me, Nowhere Man, Think for Yourself, The Word, Michelle, Girl, I'm Looking Through You, In My Life, my favorite Beatles song right there, In My Life, Wait, If I Needed Someone, and Run for Your Life. Like, it's such a good album, like, oh my god. But, like I said, my OCD is screaming that this didn't come in above it, but I'm like, but then the favorites OCD is coming out like, this should be tied with this, but again, I am not doing a cop-out. I did this properly. I did not want to cheat at it, so I didn't. So this gets the number 1 slot for me. 45 minutes later for 13 albums. I know. And most of it is just me hemming and hawing over, this should have been higher, but oh my god. Like I said, it's like trying to pick a favorite child. Like, how can you ask me to do that? I love all of them. I love all of them for different reasons. Just... like, there is not many bands I could say that where literally every single album is loved. Like, the Monkees would be a close second, but even they have albums where I'd be like, Pull It though, like, really? But, the Christmas album, like, but, no, not with the Beatles. Everything's freaking great with them. Even the Who have a couple albums where I'm like, nah, bitch, no, that would be the bottom. Like, hands down, easy. Like, no hesitation, I can tell you what's at the bottom. But with the Beatles, it's so hard trying to make this kind of a list. And I'm like, this is just of the original 13. Now I have to go back through and add in the Anthology, and Past Masters, and Love, and Let It Be Naked, and Live at the BBC, and I know I'm forgetting stuff. It's late. It's, like, very late at night for me, so like I said, there's a bunch more that are going to be added in that full list. And then I'm going to do one more list after that. But that one's just going to be, like, greatest hits type albums up against each other, like, who will come out grand champion. Just because shits and giggles at that point. It's like, by that point, all the hard stuff will be over, so fuck it, we're just gonna have a for funsies one then. But yeah, this was the hardest one, I feel, in my opinion, because I was like, oh, I'm so wounded trying to do this. At least with the other ones, I'm like, those objectively I can do easier. But the original core 13, I'm like, how can you ask me to do that? You hurt me so, even though I did it to myself. But I finally did it. I finally put them in an order. I ranked them. I did the thing. If I wanted to be truly masochistic, I would try and do favorite songs, but my heart is not ready. I'm not ready to go there yet. Eventually, guys. One day. Today ain't that day. And I don't know how exactly. I don't know what number I would go up to. Maybe I would have to do it per Beatle, but of Beatles songs, not of solo. Solo is its own thing, but like maybe of like top 10 John, top 10 Paul, like that sort of thing, although Ringo doesn't have 10 total. So, I don't know, I might have to do 5 for him. Sorry, baby, I know, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm shitting on Ringo, and I'm not meaning to, but stating facts, he doesn't have that many, but, yeah. That I feel like that's another thing for another day, and it is a thing I am just not ready for yet. I barely made it through this without, like, crying, trying to make myself put them in an order. So, anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. You probably just, like, fast-forwarded through 90% of it, and I don't blame you. It's okay. But anyways, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a like. Leave comments down below. What order would you put the Beatle albums in? Have you made a similar video to this before? If so, link it down below. I will go check it out. Maybe I already have. Like I said, I've watched a lot of these videos. You guys don't even know. So maybe I've already seen your video. You don't even know. But you should link it down below anyway, just in case. And in the description, like I said, I will be linking to Jeanette's video as well, since we did these as a collab. And you guys know what to do. Follow my social media links. They're all down in the description too. My Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my Etsy, everything and more. And if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, you know, maybe kick me a couple of bucks for actually going and doing the thing that was so difficult for me to do in my heart, you know. The donation link, as always, is down in the description. Anyway, guys, like I said, it's late, so I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.